This is the official Santa Van. Hi. This is the official Savannah Paranormal Museum podcast.
The official Savannah Paranormal Museum podcast.
My name is Justin Kent, curator.
And I'm Christopher Susi, owner and archivist.
Welcome.
Welcome.
So, today, what we're going to do is I have in my phone, I have to take off my eyeglasses to look at things. I have in my phone on my little notes app things that have come up within the museum that people have talked about that I want to ask you about to give me more clarity.
Excellent.
The first one is the Jersey tree.
The Jersey tree.
The Jersey tree, yes.
The Jersey tree.
Yes.
Do we have anything else to go on?
It is somehow related to the
tree.
Jersey Devil.
So it's interesting because the first thing that pops into my head is that there was a lottery commercial in New Jersey for the New Jersey Lottery. And notably, the Jersey Devil was sitting perched in a tree. And it makes me wonder if that was not a more inside joke.
That somebody was talking to two guests were talking to each other, and they were like, "Oh, have you seen the Jersey tree?"
Oh, yeah, I would imagine. And this is kind of interesting in almost every region. What you have are these gnarled, twisted trees, witch trees, trees where the devil is supposed to come out. And oftentimes, whenever I see them, I call them trees of doom. The tree of doom.
Yes.
Because every now and then you'll pass by a tree that is alone in a field and it has no life on it. The trunk is twisted. The branches are reaching in every direction, and it just feels absolutely evil. And I had heard a story where evil witches will turn into trees rather than die. And so when you see a twisted tree, it is in fact a witch that had twisted into this dark and frightening tree. Were you able to look up?
I looked it up, and the official state tree of New Jersey is the northern red oak.
I do not think they were talking about the state tree.
Yeah, I do not think they were talking about the state tree.
I'm almost positive that it was a question of a tree, more than likely near a cemetery, that is frightening and horrible and twisted. And they would say that the Jersey Devil either lives in the tree or will drop down on you from the branches of the tree. That does fit in keeping with a lot of folklore when you get into like the deep regionality of certain creatures. So honestly, I would have to imagine that that is a local myth and mythos and legend and lore.
Okay, now I'm coming up with something called the Tale of Jersey's Devil Tree.
Oh, there you go.
Which is, hold on. I was first told about the devil tree up in the mountains. I was told don't touch it or something will happen to you or your car.
Okay. So yes, devil trees and witch trees and evil twisted trees. So it's a Jersey devil tree. Not the
they may have
devil
said
tree.
Devil tree, right, but they were talking about Jersey, and I got mixed up because I'm not very bright.
Yes, I have actually heard the tale of devil tree. As a matter of fact, someone else who came through the museum talked about how their sister had gone out and touched the tree.
Right.
Which was absolutely not what you do in situations like this.
Yes.
It is the classic, I double dog dare you to touch the devil's tree. And misfortune just followed the sister home, and for years the car that she drove out to see the devil's tree actually ended up getting into several accidents, and for as long as she owned that car, her life was a calamity. But when the car was actually finally totaled, she felt relief from the curse of the devil's tree.
Interesting that it chooses cars specifically, because that's what mentioned in here. Something is going to befall you or your car.
Right. And I guess it's because it is the vessel that brought you to the tree. It was, the vehicle that put you on the path to the tree.
Yeah.
So yes, there are many, many trees that hold that kind of superstition. Even in Savannah, we have a couple of trees. There's one downtown where people will put like treats and favors and offerings inside the knot hole, believing that there is some kind of supernatural entity that lives inside of it, maybe a sprite or a fairy, or this is something like that. And a lot of times, for a while, it was a lot of fun to walk by that tree and kind of look to see what was in there. I think it might have gotten like overblown for a while, and then people kind of abandoned it entirely.
And so I heard that it was a devil tree in Jersey, so I made an assumption that it was related to the Jersey Devil.
Right.
But a devil tree is a common thing.
A devil tree is kind of a common thing. When you see those gnarled, like, you can't figure out why it's still standing. You know, it never seems to have leaves on it. It seems like a dead tree, but it is very potently present.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Isn't that what Smog was in Fern Gully?
Yes, I would imagine that they were pulling from every bit of folklore that they could find.
You can edit that out. Okay. The other thing.
Yes.
You were here for this, but we can still talk about it. The woman who came in and told us about pencil detection.
Yes, this is very new to me. It's very familiar in a lot of ways. It feels kind of like light as a feather, stiff as a board. It feels like the kind of slumber party game that you would play. It very much feels like, I think it's called Ask Charlie or Charlie, where you would take pencils. And Charlie was, you make a cross with pencils. And then if it goes one direction, it says yes. If it goes the other direction, it says no. You'd balance it and you'd ask questions. And this woman had this method of divining or speaking to spirits.
It's almost like
divining rods.
Divining rods,
where she would basically have 6 pencils, 3 pencils in your friend's hands, 3 pencils in your hands, and the points of the pencils were always sticking into the
eraser.
So it created a box.
Yeah,
where
like
it's
a rectangle.
Point into the eraser, and then you would ask questions, and it would cause the pencils to kind of do all these weird motions. And it's kind of you understand that it's the tension of pushing these pencils together. However, it feels very deliberate. It's more active than like a Ouija board because it is moving in such a curious way.
Yeah.
And it's an easily explained phenomenon in like just natural physics, but it has this eerie quality to it. I actually bought pencils. I have them in the car. So we might demonstrate in just a little bit.
Yeah, that'd be cool. All right. So pencil detection, that's new. So if you're like, I want to go ghost hunting, but I don't have anything,
6 pencils.
6 pencils.
And it's
go to the dollar store.
It's very much a communication tool, much like a Ouija board, much like like the dowsing rods.
I had someone talking about a cemetery, Bachelor's Grove Cemetery.
Bachelor's Grove Cemetery has one of the most famous haunted pictures in history.
Yeah?
We have one hanging. It's that woman sitting in the cemetery.
Oh, really?
That's Bachelor's Grove.
Oh.
And Bachelor's Grove, highly celebrated haunted location. It's in Illinois, and it is just a really celebrated picture. And so much so that I had thought that it was an old picture, like from the 40s or 50s or even older. 1994, I think. 1993, really? Yeah. And I was shocked to hear that it was that recent, but it is a picture. It was a ghost hunting group in the cemetery. They caught this image of a woman sitting on I want to say it's a bench, but it might have been like an above ground kind of crypt situation. Clear as day. It's not one of those, I wonder what that is, or that could be somebody. I would be more inclined to just think that they caught a picture of somebody, but they swear up and down there was no one there, that there was nothing there. And of course, this was before digital cameras were the norm. So it was one of those, get it developed, see it after the fact.
Right.
And it is, like so many ghostly photography, it's just blurry enough to raise
questions,
suspicions, but eerie enough it has an eerie sensation to it. You look at it and you think to yourself, that is a picture of loneliness, of sorrow,
it's emotional.
It's emotional. It's
Yeah.
a very emotional picture. So yeah, if you look up the Bachelor Groves ghost picture, it is it quickly became one of the top 5 ghostly images ever captured on camera.
Huh. Nice. I'm going to go on a rabbit trail here.
Absolutely.
Do you think, personally, in your vast knowledge and study of ghostly things, that you are more likely to catch an image of a ghost on film that needs to be developed than you are on digital?
That is such a good question, because I think that there are very specific camps who believe that film is the only way to
Film's
truly
the only way.
capture it. And
I
there
feel
are
like
people-
I've seen a lot of people that specifically use Polaroid cameras.
Yes, Polaroid. Well, and a lot of it is like because of the chemicals and
Mm.
because of, the so the noise that can happen in film photography, the artifacts that can come about. One of the things that we have to kind of imagine is that spirits don't really have a lot of force to them. They don't have a lot of presence to them. They
Right.
are barely present. So when they interfere with electronics, or they interfere with your camera or anything like that, they're hoping to manipulate something.
Right.
So like the lower quality, this is like there's a highly coveted EVP recorder. It's like a DR60 Panasonic recorder that is a terrible recorder.
It's like the lowest quality.
Right, because it has all this extra noise. But in that extra noise, people hear crystal clear communication.
Ah.
They've heard, there's a phenomenon called the screaming man, which they swear, they just catch somebody screaming
You've played that for
loudly
me
on
before,
that. Yes.
yeah.
And it is incredible that it boils down to the fact that there's something for the spirit to manipulate. There is noise and chatter, and that's probably where the idea of lower quality videos, lower quality cameras have all these kind of glitchy things about them that spirits might be able to utilize or present themselves through the manipulation of that. Like the higher quality things, it condenses the sound away. Like even the microphones we're using right now have high condensers in them, and they're condensing all the excess and all the extra noise and all the sounds in the background. And really, that's where I think spirit communication in the physical world comes from, is the manipulation of the noise around, including video, like visual noise.
Because they don't make, like, they officially don't make any night vision cameras anymore, do they? Did I hear that?
So
that like the Sony Handycams with the night vision, that's not a thing anymore?
So you still can get cameras that have the IR, infrared night cams, but basically the optics have gotten so good that what you get are really good low light cameras. And the thing about like night vision cameras is they alter the look of whatever you're looking at.
Yeah.
And its usefulness is only in seeing things in the dark. Whereas people were pushing for more and more ability to film in lower and lower light. Even our iPhones now do incredible jobs in very low light. They amplify the light around. They have the ability, because the lenses are so good and the processing and the data so good. So it's not so much that they don't make it anymore. It's just not as desirable a thing. They don't need it as much.
It's a shame. I'm you're gonna miss all those shows with people in the dark with green eyeballs.
Oh, there'll always be green eyeball people. Always.
All right, I think I got one last thing for you. One last thing, and that is, there was a gentleman who came in here who was talking about how he had gone to Catholic exorcism school. And like, obviously that's a thing, but I thought it would just be an every priest thing would learn exorcism, but it is specifically an exorcism school.
Yes. And it's fascinating because I think that the Catholic faith has so many very stringent criteria to get into each of these schools. There is, of course, a common exorcism practice, and even in non-Catholic practices, even in the Book of Common Prayer, there are instances in prayers that are used regularly as warding off, demonic presences and things like that. But
Right.
the actual like College of Exorcism, the actual school that you would go
College
to
of
for
Exorcism.
is usually as people advance in their faith and in how they want to minister to people. There are going to be people who are dedicated to the idea of combating evil and being more involved in that spiritual combat. And there are different varieties of that notion. And as you get away from like Catholicism, you'll find that there are certain sects of Christian beliefs that have they'll cling on to like the system of knights and knighthoods and have a brotherhood that
Right.
are dedicated to this specific practice. But in Catholicism, there is so much about the process of becoming possessed and the process of identifying what is and isn't possession and what is and isn't a demonic presence. And since Catholicism is pretty stringent on what supernatural or paranormal entities exist, generally Catholics do not believe in ghosts. It's a very complicated kind of back and forth, because if it's a ghost that is allowed by God, then that person is pretty much a saint or or they come as a vision, and they don't qualify as ghosts the way that we think of ghosts. Otherwise, it's a demon pretending to be a loved one revisiting you and things like that. So there is a lot of back and forth about what are you communicating with. You see your grandmother and you're thinking, oh, here's, my beloved departed grandmother. There's a good chance that they will think that that is demonic if it has no other purpose than to trivialize life and death. If it's showing up simply to sort of mock the process of existence, then, and that kind of speaks to the complications of faith and how you have to be more present in how you practice faith in order to move forward. So yes, there are special schools for exorcisms. However, almost any priest can go through the motions of the prayers necessary to stave off, to ward away, to protect. But driving demons out is a very specific role in the church, and that puts you in a different realm. And again, it's only Catholics really have that specialized.
Yeah, I was at an exorcism when I was in high school of someone who was a friend of mine at the time. And it was a Christian exorcism, and it was just a lot of, I rebuke you, you cannot have him, yada, yada, yada.
Well, because there is, as religion became more of a populist expression, and it became more of a pop culture situation, the conditions for being possessed diminished greatly. Any influence that took you away from the path of God, it was demonic, and anything, it was easy to latch onto because it helped to establish the behavior that they really truly want you to exhibit. And by making these kind of intense and dramatic shows of exorcism, they were proving the day-to-day battle of being good and being a good Christian and things like that. And that's not to trivialize it. That's just to suggest that a lot of the modern exorcisms are feeding the psychology of it, and maybe not as much the spirituality of it. It's kind of shallow waters where you're kind of scaring away what is in the shallow waters and not getting too deep where there's actual danger.
Right. Now, you may be mad at me for this, but I will bring up one other exorcism that I know of, and that was when you exorcised the demon here in the museum.
We did have an instance where we were dealing with a person who appeared to be possessed, that for lack of any true investigative ability, we had to assume that at the very least, he was pretending to be possessed.
Right.
That is at the very least, but that also puts him as a dangerous person to be around, because a person who is asserting that they're possessed is looking for permission to carry out the deeds that they think are in keeping with being possessed.
In which case they might as well be possessed.
And technically that's full possession.
That's what possession is.
If he were to cause harm or do damage, it was by the conditions that he believed were at play.
Right.
And that is, again, or is it psychology or is it spirituality? It blurs the line.
Yeah.
And in the case of exorcism like that, where my spiritual training lies is actually in martial arts. It's not even like I have a true link to divinity. Now, I did go to seminary. I went to I almost made it 2 whole semesters in seminary, but they actually literally said, "Well, I don't believe you were called." And it was fascinating, because I thought, you're taking my money,
right?
I mean, I don't.
It's not, like SCAD saying, you don't have enough talent,
right? Exactly. Or more that you don't have any inspiration.
Yeah, you're not inspired to be an artist.
Your art is
so here's your money.
Fine. It's perfunctory, but it's not good. Yeah. So it was very interesting, because their concern was that I might have had the wrong motivations for seeking.
Yeah.
And they were absolutely right. 100%. I was
fair.
I was in it to learn secrets and get, inside information. But what I do know is that there are all these amazing legends and all these amazing folklores. And my very first martial arts instructor was very into the idea of a hierarchy of beings, and these hierarchy of beings oftentimes plague the living. And so there was this one incredible demon queller, this amazing warrior, and there's a certain branch of martial arts that kind of honors the traditions of that exorcism. So you'll see we have the 100 Blessings sword, which is a representation of the idea that a sword in the presence of these demonic creatures, because in the East, you literally fight demons. You don't pray them away. You fight them. You inflict damage upon them.
Yeah.
And so knowing that at the very least, I could summon up enough security for myself in the practice that I had practiced in my life, that is the key to, or at least, in my estimation, that is the key to being able to push back spiritual forces. Because in any spiritual battle, it is about who has more faith. If the demon comes to the table with more faith than you will lose.
Right.
So you have to find the thing, the process, the item, the practice that brings you the most security and the most confidence.
Yeah.
And use that. It's funny because I always think about this scene in Fright Night.
Fright Night.
Love Fright Night. Great movie. And I had a long-standing crush on Roddy McDowall.
Sure.
Just loved watching him in any movie.
Yeah.
He was just so much fun. And he plays a vampire hunter named Peter Vincent.
Go see it if you haven't.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just go
but
rent it right now.
The big, catch-all moments is when the characters would hold up a cross, they would say, you have to have faith in order for that to work.
Yes. You don't have the faith.
He was like, you have to have faith in order for that to work. And in a brilliant bit of acting, McDowell kind of has this moment of fear, and then he overcomes it and like presses forward. And as he does, the vampire starts shrinking.
Yeah, you can see the faith grow. Yeah,
and it was like a weird, like double-edged sword, because the sun was coming up, and that was enough to give Peter Vincent the faith that he could do this, or maybe he did muster up enough internal faith to combat the forces of evil. And that plays in my head a lot when I talk about, well, you know, you have to find the thing that you have faith in. That's why rituals work.
Right.
Because the practice of rituals, the repeating of rituals, and the doing the ritualistic things is a sort of a physical mantra. It is sort of reinforcing thought with action, so that the action promotes the thought, promotes the belief, and the belief then becomes your weapon.
I am going back through, as you know, the Dresden Files books.
Oh yes, absolutely.
And
great series of books.
Great series of books. And he has that amulet that his mother gave him.
Yes.
Yeah, that is the star. And he talks about that a lot. How that's what he has faith in, because he's a wizard, and he believes his power comes all from magic and the earth and yada yada yada, and it all is in his pendant, and because he has so much faith in it, it has the power.
It becomes powerful. That's how all amulets work, all talisman, everything that we conditionally use to protect. And that's, you know, another big thing about the museum is we've put out a large array of different faiths and different cultures, beliefs as to what protects them. Mm-hmm. And in my belief, this is my true and honest belief, it's all true. And it's true because people believe it. That's what makes it true.
Yeah.
And that gives you the ability to face whatever demons or nightmares you have. And that's why, you know, there's room enough at the table for everyone's beliefs. Mm-hmm. Everyone has a specific belief, and that specific belief is, you know, forged through experience, through culture, through regionality, through everything, and becomes this coalesced weapon in everybody's hand. And even the belief in nothing, even people who are so certain that there is nothing to any supernatural thing, has a wealth of faith that nothing exists.
Right.
And that becomes their cudgel. That becomes the weapon that they can use against the unknown and against the fearful and monstrous things that are coming at them. They can literally say, does not exist.
Right.
I practice that daily. I practice not believing or indulging in your nonsense. And that gives me the right to stand here before you with my faith in nothing.
Yeah. So that was all I had for you. That was a pretty intense discussion for just coming up with stuff.
You know, we're still playing and fidgeting with our formatting, but this podcast is going to try to center more towards the museum and the things that come up as we work at the museum.
Yeah.
And if you have questions, comments, concerns, feel free to email us at savannahparanormalmuseum@gmail.com.
Yeah.
And give us your questions, and we will be happy to address them on this format or on a TikTok or an Instagram or however we end up passing along the information.
That's it then.
That's it.
Bye.
Bye.